So again, we've had some really excellent talks, and I think what you're going to see after this is that there's so much overlap between all of what we've talked about, starting at the pathophysiology of migraine to how it relates to mood like depression or anxiety, to triggers and to lifestyle modifications. And I think one thing that Dr. Karnik mentioned was having control over things. And I think we all like to be able to have some control over what we can do, especially with migraines. They're so disabling. And, if there's anything that we can do ourselves to help with those, I think is great, because there's a lot of things that we can't control, unfortunately. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the lifestyle modifications. Again, some of this you've already heard, so I'm not going to go over all of it in great detail, but again, things that you can control to help with your migraines. Okay, so good lifestyle habits. So the nice thing about this is that these don't only relate to migraines. This is just good stuff you can do in general to feel good, for a good mood, and they all overlap again. It's kind of all like a cycle. If you don't sleep well, you're not going to be in a good mood the next day. If your mood is down, you may have trouble sleeping. If you have anxiety or worry, it may keep you up at night. So, doing whatever you can to help with this, I think, is really important to try to break those cycles and try to be able to feel better overall and to help your migraines. So some of the good lifestyle habits include drinking plenty of water. You heard that from Dr. Karnik. What I always tell my patients, teenagers, and even the younger kids is that, you have to try to aim for a certain amount of water a day, and most teenagers will need at least 64 ounces of water a day. So that's 8 8-ounce cups or glasses, or 4 of those 16-ounce water bottles, the plastic ones. And a lot of the kids like to have their hydro flasks or some kind of bottle with them, which I think is great because you can actually quantify how much water you're drinking. But it's really important to make sure you're drinking all throughout the day. So you don't want to just load up on the water in the evening after you come home from school. So keep that water bottle with you in school, be drinking from it all throughout the day, because you don't want to get to that point where that migraine is triggered and then you're trying to load up on the water after that. Okay, so take your water bottle to school. Even if you're doing online school virtually, keep that water bottle next to you so you're drinking all day long. Next is eating regular and healthy meals. And again, I think Dr. Karnik talked about this really well. She told you certain things to avoid. Eating regularly so you don't have that low blood sugar, which can trigger a headache. Most importantly, I think a lot of teens skip breakfast. They have to get up really early in the morning to go to school, and you just don't feel hungry in the morning. But it's really important to get something in you, because if you think about the last time you ate, maybe 6 p.m. the evening before you had dinner, and then you don't eat until lunchtime. And so you're going a very, very long period of time without eating. And that's really important, getting something in the morning, something healthy, granola bar, a fruit, something like that. Also limiting caffeine intake. Again, Dr. Karnik talked about this in good detail, so I'm not going to go over that too much. Limiting electronic use. This is really important. I think a lot of what we do these days is on the electronics, especially now if kids are doing school online, or even being in person in school. A lot of it is on the computers now. And so it's really important when you are doing this all day long that you're not then coming home and, on your phone or on iPad or watching TV. So it's important to limit how much time you're on the electronics. And a lot of kids these days are saying that, being on the computer is causing or triggering headaches. And taking breaks is really important too. It is not, it's sometimes the amount of time you're spending, in front of the computer or in front of your phone or iPad. So we're telling everyone to take frequent breaks, maybe every 20 or 30 minutes. Just get up. You could do the breathing exercises Dr. Arnold talked about, get up and walk around, go outside, get some fresh air, but just making sure you're doing that regularly to avoid the triggers of the migraines. Something I'm going to focus on is getting enough sleep. And as Dr. Karnik also talked about, the relationship between sleep and migraines. And there's a lot of information out there, a lot of studies that have been done that show this relationship. And we all know that sleep can help migraines. I mean, sometimes when we have a migraine, we want to just go to sleep and hopefully, wake up and feel better. So getting enough sleep is really important, and having a regular sleep schedule. So I'm going to focus on that a little bit more. And because that ties in with what we're talking about today, which is mood, it's really, really important for mood to get enough sleep. Also exercise, and that's something we all kind of just let go because we're busy, and so we don't have time for it, and it's probably lower at some of our priority lists to do during the day, but that's also going to be really important as well, not only for migraines but also for mood, and it ties in with sleep and some of the other things as well. And then reducing stress. So stress is a difficult one. We all have some sort of stress in our lives, especially with school and now being online all day long sometimes, and, all the other things that we have to do, homework, extracurricular activities, and there's just a lot of stress these days. So that's something that's really important to help with migraines. As Dr. Carnick said, stress is the biggest trigger for migraines. And, a lot of it is related to mood, depression, and anxiety. So we'll talk about that a little bit more too. So let's talk about sleep. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommendations. And again, Dr. Carnick did talk about how much sleep you should be getting. So they do recommend that children ages 6 to 12 years should be sleeping at least 9 to 12 hours a day, and that teenagers 13 to 18 years should sleep at least 8 to 10 hours a day. And again, a lot of us are not getting that amount of sleep. As you saw, a lot of people are getting under 8 hours of sleep, which is not enough. Also to note is that all screens should be turned off 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime, and that TV, computers, and other screens should not be allowed in children's bedrooms. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, is that I'll talk about this a little bit more on the next couple of slides, but your bedroom and your bed should only be for sleep. And so taking everything out of there, especially the electronics, is going to be really important if you have trouble sleeping at night. And turning off those electronics 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime, because of that blue light that can stimulate and activate parts of your brain and make it harder to fall asleep. And that's something I think that we do often is, okay, you finally have some downtime right before bed. So you want to, scroll Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And so, that's something, unfortunately, we shouldn't be doing, and we should leave for another time. They also say that adequate sleep duration for age on a regular basis leads to improved attention, behavior, learning, memory, emotional regulation, quality of life, and mental and physical health. So not only is this important for migraines to get enough sleep, but just to your overall well-being. It's really, really important if you want to be able to do well on your exam the next day, or you want to be able to focus really well, in your classes, that you're getting enough sleep at night. And we all know that if, there's a day where you don't get enough sleep and you're very tired, it makes it a lot harder to concentrate, to learn, and to retain memory. And it makes you feel bad, you feel moody, you feel tired, you feel fatigued. And so again, that's really important. It's also important for decreasing injuries. You're driving, you need to be alert. That's really important. High blood pressure, obesity, and depression, again. So it can lead to actually physical problems with your health if you're not getting enough sleep. I think another thing that's really important that we don't think about a lot is that if you sleep too much, it can also have adverse health outcomes. So, sometimes we don't get enough sleep on the weekdays, and so we're trying to catch up on the weekends and we oversleep. So, sleeping until noon, on a Saturday. Well, not only does that make it harder for your body to adjust, kind of throws you off, and it can make you feel bad also. It can also make it harder to sleep on Sunday night when you have to get in bed in a timely manner so you get enough rest for school the next day. But, just oversleeping in general on a regular basis can also be bad for your health. So good sleep habits. So I'm not going to go through all of these. Some of them I've mentioned already, but things that you can do, again, keeping a consistent schedule, setting a bedtime early enough to make sure you can get enough sleep, Don't go to bed unless you're sleepy. And that's hard because sometimes we don't feel tired, and especially if you're on those electronics before going to bed. So the important thing is to, again, eliminate anything that could be affecting your ability to fall asleep. And then, waiting until you're tired. So sometimes if you can't fall asleep, you actually have to physically get out of bed and do something else. Leave your room, maybe go read something, read a little magazine article or something like that, and then go back in bed when you're feeling tired. And this can actually help you start to feel tired and fall asleep. Again, no electronics during that time. That's important. Establishing a relaxing bedtime routine. So maybe take a warm bath or, again, reading outside of your bedroom to see if that helps you fall asleep. Doing something that's regular, that your body is used to, and that lets your body know it's time to go to bed soon. That's important. Making sure that the environment is comfortable, so keeping the temperature cool enough, making sure it's not too hot, making sure your bedroom's quiet and relaxing. That's important. You can reduce exposure to bright lights before you go to bed. That can help. Don't eat a lot before going to bed. If you are very full, that can make it hard to fall asleep. And also, if you're hungry, you may need to eat a very light, healthy snack so you can easily fall asleep. And then exercising during the day and maintaining a healthy diet. Again, like I said, these things are really important just for your overall well-being and to feel good and to help you sleep at night. Okay. Avoid that caffeine in the late afternoon or evening, and reduce fluid intake so you're not having to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That can disrupt your sleep. And if you're feeling very tired and you want a nap, I think a lot of people sleep for 1 or 2 hours, and then that makes it hard for them to fall asleep again at night. So you want to limit your naps to no more than 30 to 40 minutes. So exercise, the American Academy of Pediatrics mentions several benefits of physical activity. And again, you're going to see that exercise also can help prevent certain health conditions like obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. It also helps you feel good. It helps you focus better. It helps teens avoid risk-taking behaviors. So that's important too, having something else to engage in, being part of a team, having other people around you, or even just exercising on your own can make you feel really good and help you avoid those types of risk-taking behaviors. And we know that exercise is important physically to help your heart and your blood vessels build strong bones and muscles, make you more flexible. And again, it helps with stress too. So exercise is really important, something we should prioritize more than we do, I think. And, it could just be a matter of going out and walking for 30 minutes, every few days during the week. But whatever you can do to make exercise a priority, I think is really important. And again, the recommendations for teenagers is 60 or more minutes of moderate to vigorous activity on most days, and then doing something to help strengthen muscles and bones at least 3 days a week. Finally, I'm going to talk about reducing stress. And again, this stress can be difficult. And a lot of times if we're very stressed, it's because we're busy and we don't have time to focus on these things. But I think if you have a plan in mind, when you start to feel stressed, this is something that I should do. And it could be like Dr. Arnold's diaphragmatic breathing, or just, the exercise she talked about to kind of bring yourself into the present and think about what's going on around you at the moment. I think all of these things are really easy ways to reduce stress on a regular basis. There's also things like yoga, exercise, like we talked about, meditation, relaxation, again, something you can do on your own very easily, and mindfulness. And there have been, Dr. Arnold did mention some apps that are out there that go over mindfulness and relaxation and meditation. And I think, these days it's important to take advantage of those if you can find a free app that can help you with some of these things. And if those things are not helping, sometimes, we need the help of a specialist like Dr. Arnold. So seeing a psychologist for cognitive behavioral therapy, which she mentioned, and also biofeedback. And Both of these things, there's a lot of evidence for these in migraines themselves, not just for, overall well-being and depression and anxiety and reducing stress, but they've actually studied CBT and biofeedback for kids with their migraines and found that they help reduce migraines. So I think those things can be very important if you're still, having some difficulties, finding something that can help you. Biofeedback is, if you see the picture of the girl who's hooked up to the monitor at the bottom, that's where you can actually physically, you can see your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing rate, and you can actually, in a way, train your mind to help reduce, those things like when your heart rate goes up or when your breathing gets faster. And some of those things happen physiologically when you have migraines, so when you're in pain, and sometimes when you're feeling anxious or stressed. And so biofeedback is a really, really great way to be able to help, have some mechanisms to kind of reduce those things when you're not feeling great. And then relaxation, again, Dr. Arnold talked about this. So taking slow, deep breaths, focusing the mind on a relaxing image or scene. There's something called guided imagery where a professional can actually go through this with you and sort of make you, take your mind to this relaxing place. You can also try soft, relaxing lights and sounds while you're doing this. And I know Dr. Arnold mentioned about Dawn Buse's website, and I'm mentioning again because she is just amazing. She is a really important psychologist in the field of headache. She has so many resources on her website. She does have some guided imagery and some relaxation audios on there. So I would highly recommend going to visit her website after this and just looking into some of those things. I think that's really important when you have your migraines and when you don't have your migraines to help relax and, reduce stress in your life. So I have some resources as well, some of the same ones as the others. The first one is our Phoenix Children's Headache Clinic website. Please visit if you're interested in, seeing somebody, or like Dr. Arnold mentioned, we have the Complex Headache Clinic where you can see myself and her in the clinic at this, 2 different appointments, but within the same day. Miles for Migraine, of course, the American Migraine Foundation, the American Headache Society, and I put, again, here, Dawn Buse's website. And that's all I have.